So people have been talking, right? Level 100, Exalted PvP, how good is it? How does it fare against the 50 League, the 60 League, max PvP? I had AwesomeTheSauce hit me up the other day, asked me for a couple of setups. I had the self-proclaimed Messiah of Legendary the other day, Kenny, the boy, hit me up for a setup. Gume has been posting Exalted PvP. How good is it? Is it pay to win? Are all schools good? Let's talk about that and how you can make yourself a level 100 for Exalted League PvP. So before anything else, I hear you asking, James, bro, why in the world do I want to bring up my level 50, my level 60, my level 70 that I stopped playing on years ago? Because I accidentally named him the wrong name to level 100 for PvP. Like, why? Why would I want to do that, right? Well, let's sit back and look at the facts, right? If you guys have been watching my videos, you guys know when I make videos like these, I like to, present my opinion, but back it up with the facts, right? So level 100 versus level 50 and level 60, because there's not a whole lot different from those two leagues besides the fact that 50 has its own Rochambeau multiple school Master dropped gear from Dragonspire, and 60 yet doesn't have that at the moment. That will be coming soon as per Ratbeard. But right, what does 100 have that 60 and 50 don't? Well, we have more TC. There's the fact that Decathlon, and this is a huge one for a lot of people, and I'm sorry, a lot of people are saying now that it's not that big of a deal, not many people run it. Listen, for me, it's the fact that you can run it, and I still see it being used. I still see the Oni no plague first turn. It's toxic, and I don't like it, and a lot of people, it's their reason for not wanting to do 50 and 60 PvP, and that's completely okay, right? But Decathlon has no place in the 100 meta. If you see somebody running it, tell them to stop. They're probably throwing their games away and their rank and their sanity, because it just doesn't work up here. We have too much health, and you can't really do that much damage in a short amount of time before the other person ends up Roshan bizzle bopping you and taking your knees and bodying you, basically, right? But yeah, no Deca, and that's pretty much it for 50 and 60, right? So let's talk about max, right? A lot of people say that max is too complicated. You've got the pip conserve, which is pretty much RNG. You've got shads. A lot of people don't like shads. That's pretty much why 60 is like one of the biggest leagues right now, right behind max. Obviously, max is the biggest because it's an MMO, right? A lot of people are going to level up to the max level and then, I don't know what to do, so I guess I'll try PvP. But basically, no shads at level 100. I'm just saying, there's no gaze into the, wait, he has a Storm Mastery? Glowbug Squall? What? He just did it again. He's hacking. There is none of that. All right? There's no FFA. There's no gaze. I don't know why I said Glowbug Squall. You would never see that at max anyways, but it just can't happen, right? All we have over here is crit. And I think that is partially what made 60 so cool, is the fact that you could crit, or your opponent could crit, and close the gap between you two. The only problem is Exalted has, I want to say, inflated crit. And what I mean by that is crit does a lot of damage. It doesn't do as much damage as the .33 garbage that we had after Polaris, but I want to say most multipliers in Exalted are looking like .25. But I have messaged Ratbeard and other devs, and hopefully that does get fixed. And when it does, I mean, Exalted pretty much has no problems. No shad, no Deca. We have all of the strategy that old level 60s used to have. Our stats are really good. We get really good resist, damage, the whole shebang. Like, what is there not to have at level 100 at the moment? And that's going to actually bring me to my biggest, most glaring reason about why all of you watching should be doing level 100 PvP, especially if you like critical, it's hype, and you miss how old 60 used to be. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you just want to play max with no shads. That's pretty much what 100 is right now. There is no, and I repeat, 0 must-have pay to win at Exalted. And what I mean by that is, right, paying to win or paying to squeeze the extra bit of orange juice or apple juice out of your stats is optional. It is not meta, right? You can have completely meta stats. In fact, you know what? I'll stop rambling and just show you. All right, we have Mally hat, Mally robe, Mally boots. This wand, I'll go over later in this video, but this is farmable. A theme craftable. This is farmable. This is from Shane in the, what, the second floor of Darkmoor. This is farmable as well. The pet, I'll explain later, is pretty much what is going to make or break your build in terms of you liking your own stats, pretty much. And then obviously mounts are optional, and then decks craftable. So pretty much the entire Exalted meta can be played with nothing but PvE gear. And I think that is one of the biggest things that Exalted has going for it, because, you know, at 50, you know, the Highlander, if you don't have a friend that has the house, you have to pop packs, or I don't know how else I mean, you can craft it, but you got to go through all that PvP and collect all those RNG reagents that you may or may not get, and that's hundreds of thousands of matches. You know, at max, you have the what is it, the motorist, bim bam bop, and you gotta pop packs for that or do countless matches in order to craft it. Again, RNG reagents. At legendary, you have the professor's horde pack. I'm pretty sure the boots are still meta there. There's none of that at Exalted, right? As I just showed you, Mally, you know, this is farmable. Everything I have on my character is farmable. And if you don't believe me, right, because I've only just showed you Storm, let's go ahead and hop on the myth real quick. So on the myth, right, we have 125 damage. I actually do not have my Brace Defy socketed, and I do have Mighty on my pet. What that means is my Defy is actually 6, so I have 50 clean res across the board, 30 accuracy, cannot fizzle, basically 550 or 450 crit, 270 block, and 40 pierce after I equip my pierce mount. But even without the mount, I still have an amazing 38 pierce. 28 incoming in case I want to, I don't know, spice it up with some Grendel's Amends, Spellaments, I don't know. I don't have those, but some of you might. And then 86 power pip percent, which will actually go up because I do not have a 10%. And it's fine if I fail pip, even then my power pip won't be 100%. I mean, most of Myth's hits, you know, are 5 pips. I think a Battle Sight, you know, Talos, Minotaur, all that good stuff. But what about the gear, James? You just said, you know, like, you're showing us these amazing stats, but there has to be some pay to win gear, right? Well, no, I mean, farmable, Mally, farmable. This is the Legacy of Fame. If you don't already have this, because unfortunately, you cannot go back and get this. Like, it just does not exist in a drop table anywhere in the game anymore, which isn't really going to give the biggest advantage to a lot of people who have this. But the Darkmoor Theme is farmable and is more than well enough to, you know, serve in the meta for Exalted. So if I didn't have this, I would just run the Yevgenia Theme, which is, you know, the first boss on the 3rd floor of Darkmoor, and just rock that and have, like, I think, like, 1 less damage. I think I'd actually have more power pip too if I ended up running that, but I only run this for the extra damage. The Universal Memento, farmable, and the ring, again, farmable, and the pet, in case you were wondering, which again doesn't have the 5 socketed, and then the deck, obviously craftable. However, if you do have a little money laying around, you know, there's no shame in, you know, spending the money on Wiz for people that do that. I've done that. I like to get the extra bit of juice out of my stats. On some characters, I actually do run the Croc hat from the one-shot gauntlets, from the Crocopatra Exalted Gauntlet and the Rattlebones Gauntlet. You can run those pieces of gear. They are meta on certain schools just to, you know, again, juice that extra bit of stats out of your build, but they aren't the crutch of the meta is what I'm trying to say. So everything you see here, like on the Myth and the Storm, none of it is one-shot gear. So all of that is completely optional. They're basically like tweaked versions of the Mally gear anyway. So now I hear you saying, James, bro, like, I see the stats, I see the reasoning behind the Exalted wave, but like, bro, the wand, the ring, the stuff you were showing me, I've never seen that before. I've never done Exalted PvP. How do I get that? Where do I farm it? Well, first of all, bro, stop yelling at me, all right? I got you. I've never left y'all hanging. This has been publicly provided, by the way, by Wizard101 Spoilers on Twitter. I will link their Twitter in the description. Highly suggest, if you are even remotely into Wiz or PvP and you like seeing spoilers for your favorite game, follow them on Twitter. They are super quick with the spoilers when test roam and stuff like that drops. So thank you to them if anybody ends up telling them or they end up seeing this, anybody from that team. But this graphic is public on their Twitter. I will put a link to the graphic in the description and a link to the screenshot, an HD version of the screenshot in case it's not so HD on your phone or wherever you're watching this. But this is all of the new gear that was presented in drop tables as of the 5th Age PvP update. So the description is definitely where you guys want to go, or pause the video and zoom in if you have that capability, just to, you know, maybe you want to math it out and see if it's worth farming for said pieces of gear. But now you're asking James, okay, you know, that's all nice, but where do I farm? Like, where am I going, dude? Where do I pull up to farm the gear? Bro, fam, listen, I got you, all right? I'm going to put another informative graphic on the screen. This one, thankfully, was actually provided by the Wizard101 devs themselves. Now, here is the biggest, most important takeaway from this part of the video and the graphic on screen, right? And I need you guys to listen closely and understand. And I know, I'm just going to preface this, it's stupid. It is absolutely stupid. I don't like it. But it is the way the game is designed currently, and I don't think the devs have any plans on changing it, right? You cannot farm for any of this gear on a character that is not currently in Chrysalis, and I believe you can't have completed Polaris? Okay, so I actually just did some mid-video research. Yes, it is confirmed, as far as we can tell, that you cannot farm this gear unless you have a character that is currently in Chrysalis or Polaris, but has not completed Polaris. So a max cannot farm this gear, unfortunately. But since you are, hopefully, after this video, bringing up a Exalted Wizard for Exalted PvP, you can, in fact, use that Exalted, and maybe a friend has an Exalted that wants to help you, or you have a second account with an Exalted, you can help yourself, or there's actually a lot of people that are currently farming this right now and questing, so you might be able to just ride with somebody else. There's actually a lot of people that my friends have met recently that are farming for, you know, the new gear for Exalted PvP, so definitely try your hand at that. But the dungeon that we have, or I guess the instance, it's not really a dungeon, that we have in front of us is actually going to be the location for the new farmable wands, these things. And they look roughly the same for most schools. They give, you know, off-school damage, a little bit of crit, a little bit of block. Well, not a little bit. I mean, you get decent block, a lot of crit, and a lot of damage. This is going to be a lot of people's alternatives for the Darkmoor wand, whether they just don't like, you know, the extra pierce, or they just want more damage instead of pierce, or whatever have you. But this is going to be the primary location for the wands. And really quick, if you guys couldn't already tell, this is the outside area of the Shadow Palace right here. And then if we come up into the actual Shadow Palace where Morganth actually sits, in here, the galleries, this is the dungeon where you're going to want to farm if you are trying to go for the new hat, the new robe, or the new boots. Now, just a bit of, you know, because I've been doing Exalted PvP and playing with setups and whatnot, I highly suggest you guys only farm for the bosses that drop the hats and the boots if you are trying to min-max your setup, right, and play with stats and whatnot. Primarily because the robes, I'm just gonna say it, they suck. The robes do suck. If you get a robe and you want to try a setup with it, be my guest. I do not recommend it. And then obviously over here in the same location is going to be Morganth, and she is going to drop the Athame, the amulet, and the ring. Now, the rings, I want to say, are meta for almost every school, especially Storm. It's better than Aphrodite. Now, besides that, all of the meta decks are going to be the crafted ones from Darkmoor. The only thing I'm going to say about the decks in particular are there are some pip decks that you can farm from particular bosses throughout Chrysalis. It would take me way too long to go on the wiki and cite and source and show you guys where to farm each and every one of them. But assuming you are bringing up an Exalted, you may get one through questing, or you can look through the wiki for the level 95 decks. I believe they're all level 95. Just make sure that they give a pip, and I think a little bit of crit as well. I actually have the deck of the Shadow Lightning, which I think drops from Morganth. So this is an example of what the 95 pip decks look like. Just in case, you know, you're lazy like the next person and don't want to craft, it's completely fine. But you're still wanting to enjoy, you know, good Exalted PvP. Basically, all you're going to want is that nice pip on your deck. Other than that, I do want to make a few comments before I end the video. The first comment of which I probably should have made in the beginning of this video, but the meta level for Exalted PvP is going to be 105 or 109. I highly recommend 109 because the difference between level 100 and level 109 for most schools is actually the equivalent of like a health jewel. So if you want to min-max your stats, or, you know, again, squeeze the extra bit of juice, as I've been saying throughout the rest of this video, highly suggest you quest to level 109. All of my Exalteds, in case you're wondering, will eventually be going to level 109. Also, Exalted, just like, you know, 2014 PvP, makes a return with the Amulet of Divine Influence being one of the best amulets in the game for a lot of schools. I run the Fly God Medallion, which is the Shame Amulet, because, I mean, 200 block is pretty meta for Storm right now. I don't really get crit on for a whole lot, but I definitely crit on people for a whole lot, and I have a lot of damage, and the DPP for Storm is obviously really, really high, so matches can end pretty quickly when you're on an Exalted Storm, so I don't really need the block when I'm the one, you know, doing the wailing. But for like balance, absolutely, Amulet of Divine, you know, I think for Myth, Fire even, Amulet of Divine is going to be like one of the best amulets like all school round. And then finally, the pet meta. So I'm not sure how it is with the other leagues, but for Exalted, the main pet setup that you're going to be seeing most people use is going to be double damage, double resist, and then Breaker and Mighty. Now, the only schools at Exalted worth warding to are going to be Death, because Wraith, Drains, you know, the Blade Stack Jin, you know, Headless Horseman, it all hits like a truck. And then obviously Storm. Storm has ridiculous pierce, a lot of damage. Storm actually does really well at Exalted regardless of the amount of health that they have, which is, I mean, basically none. But they hit like an absolute truck, and getting hit by a crit, you know, anything from a Storm is definitely going to make your body go numb. But I digress. That is pretty much the rundown, your one-stop shop for the tutorial, the guide on how to make an Exalted. Darkmoor, the new gear, the one-shots, if you can afford the money. Maybe you and your friends can pitch in something so that you guys can have, you know, that one extra damage, one extra resist, whatever have you, just to make your stats look a little bit cleaner. But that is going to be it from me for today. I do hope I have encouraged at least one of you, or hopefully many of you, to make an Exalted for PvP. The league is growing every single day. People are farming every day, and good luck if you do decide to make an Exalted in your efforts for grinding for the gear. I promise you it's worth it. The PvP is some of the most fun PvP I've had in a while. So with all that being said, thank you everybody for watching. If you're new, please subscribe, like the video, because I did put some effort into this video, editing and whatnot. And this is JamesTheAce giving you guys a sign out. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace!